Welcome and/or welcome back to my channel. I'm Hannah Blackwell, and today is another episode of Thursday Reads. So today is the 13th of June, which means we are almost halfway through Once Upon a Readathon Treasure Island edition, and I have gotten a ridiculous amount of reading done. So much so that I don't think I'm going to be able to do a full wrap up in this video. I'm just going to do as quick as I can, just basic rating, and just basically go through these as quick as I can, and then I'll talk about the books that I'm reading and the books that I'm thinking of picking up next. Once Upon a Readathon is going really well. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the information's down below. It's not too late to sign up for the Readathon. I've actually read, I think, 13 books. I've had a couple of DNFs, but I think I've had five stars, which is amazing. I can't even believe it. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, you've been around watching some of my videos, I think it might be time to subscribe. So don't forget to click the subscribe button. If you like this video or videos like these, click the like button as well. Comment down below. Let me know what team you are on and what has been your favorite book of the readathon so far. All of my social media is linked down below in the description, including my Goodreads, Instagram, and Twitter. With all of that out of the way, let's get into my reviews of all of the books that I've read so far. I had to print this off because I have so many. So the first book that I read for this readathon was Pirates Witch. I read this on the 1st. It was basically the first book that I finished since my last Thursday Reads. I gave this book 2.5 stars. It was extremely smutty and there really wasn't much of a plot. I think I was expecting more, and while it was enjoyable in the first half, eventually it just got so repetitive and boring. This is a white shoes, pirates and witches, fantasy romance, a little bit dark, and it just, yeah, it was all smut. No story. It just wasn't great smut either, I guess I should say. It was kind of ridiculous, but 2.5 stars for that one. Next, I read Rolling in the Deep, which is the prequel novella to Shauna Maguire's Into the Drowning Deep, and I gave this 5 stars. I really loved it. It wasn't super long, but it was a really great prequel. We got to see what happened to that first ship that went out, and I really, really liked it. This is a horror sci-fi fantasy. Next, I read A Dead Djinn in Cairo, which is a novella. And this is a novella series, and I think there's also a full-length book in this series. It's by P. Djeli Clark, and I really like this. This is a historical fantasy, and there was a mystery element too, and I do want to continue on in the series. I gave it 4 stars. Next, I read my second 5-star of the month so far, and that was Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, and I adored this book. I'm sure you've heard about it. Fantasy romance, dragon riders. It was really, really fun. It wasn't perfect, but because my enjoyment level was so high, I had to give it 5 stars. Okay, so tied for the lowest rating I've given so far was The Sea Monster's Pride. This was like a short story novelette. It was by something Fox. I'll have it up here on the screen. Honestly, it just wasn't that good. I guess I just expected more. I've read better novelettes with tentacles before, and I honestly just couldn't figure out what was happening. Next, I read the first historical of the month so far, and I've actually read 3 historicals, which is really interesting. I've been getting more and more into historicals lately, which kind of surprises me, but also I just really love them. I've been collecting them for a while, and I've just really been enjoying my time reading them. So this was actually my first Joanna Lindsey, and it was Gentle Rogue, and I really like this one. This is a long series that follows 2 different families, the Mallorys and the Andersons, and our hero is an ex-pirate. Our heroine is disguised as the cabin boy on our hero's ship. So this was really, really good. I gave it 4 stars. I did think it was a little bit long. Things kind of seemed to drag towards the end, but I did really like it a lot overall. And I thought the banter was really good in this one. Next was my first DNF of the month. So I'm not counting this as read, but I did DNF. And this was Releasing the Gem. And I just did not like this. It was extremely depressing, and I guess I expected a dark romance, but like a fun dark romance, and there to be spice and stuff, and instead it was just this girl moping around all the time. It was really, really awful. I don't recommend this book. Next, much better. I had a 5-star. I feel like there's a lot of big time ups and downs this month so far, but maybe that's because I've been reading so fast and DNFing the second I don't really want to read something anymore. I'm really like, no, I want to read the good books. So the next was Captive of the Horde King by Zoe Draven. I've been wanting to read this series for a really long time. This is an alien romance. It feels very much like a fantasy romance, but it is very inspired by the Dothraki from Game of Thrones. So if you are into the idea of a romance about the Dothraki from Game of Thrones, definitely check this out. The only difference is the hero has a tail. But other than that, it's very similar. And I really liked this one. I gave it 5 stars. It was also really, really sweet, really cute. The hero was so caring. He was like gruff on the outside, but what I call like a secret cinnamon roll, basically. He was a secret cinnamon roll and I adored him. And I actually got to read 2 5-stars in a row because the next book that I read was Secrets of a Summer Night by Lisa Kleypas. This was the first Lisa Kleypas that I've ever read, and I own a few of her books. The step back for this book is really pretty. Gorgeous, gorgeous step back. I loved this book. I'm pretty sure this is the swooniest hero I have ever read. This guy was just swoon. Swoon, swoon, swoon. There was a lot of caretaking in this too. It was like enemies to lovers, wallflower and rake kind of scenario, and I just loved it. Next, I read Court of Blood and Bindings. This has been kind of gaining some steam as a popular fantasy romance, and I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. There was nothing new or exciting really about this. That's why I couldn't give it 5 stars, because honestly, it did feel like very cookie cutter for a modern day fantasy romance. And nothing surprised me. Nothing was extra special, but it was a lot of fun and enjoyment was totally there. So the last historical romance that I read this month was by Tessa Dare, and it was The Governess Game. This is the second book in the Girl Meets Duke series. I really liked the first one, so I was happy to be continuing on in the series. And this is about a woman who becomes the governess to our hero, and he is a rake. He doesn't ever want to get married. I give this 4 stars. I adored it. I loved the relationships with the kids in this story as well, and it was just so funny. Tessa Dare just always makes me laugh out loud. She's one of the very few authors that can do that. She just makes me smile every time I read one of her books. So another fantasy romance was The Scepter by J. Bree. This is the first J. Bree I've ever written. I really want to try her Bonds That Tie series. It's a Why Choose fantasy romance series, but this is the first novella in her new series. There's 2 novellas and then the first book, and that's what's out so far in the series. So this is the first novella. I gave it 3.5 stars. I thought it was really cool. I really liked the world. I got kind of peeved because J. Bree clearly did not do any research into herbalism, but was putting a bunch of emphasis on herbalism in the book while clearly not having done any research. She kept calling teas tinctures, and that really peeved me off because they're so not the same thing at all. Like, you can't gather herbs in the forest and then like boil some water and here's a tincture. Like, a tincture is like a months-long process of herbs or seeds or roots or whatever you're using dissolving into alcohol. It's basically like how you make vanilla extract. It takes months. Like, you cannot make a tincture by boiling water. Like, I don't know, it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever read. Like, and if she had looked into literally, like, it would have taken her 2 seconds if she bothered. You know she has to be thinking in her head, like, I wonder what a tincture is. I'm just gonna say it's boiled water with herbs. Like, I'm sorry, that would have taken her 2 seconds to look up. She had to know that it wasn't a tea, because later in the book she called boiled water with herbs tea. So I don't, like, that kind of pissed me off because I was like, do you even care about what you're writing if you're going to do this? Like, clearly you don't. So I honestly took off a whole star just for that, because to me, if you're going to write fantasy, especially like witchy fantasy, you need to do research if you're going to use certain terms, because like they're inspired by actual practice. And so I don't know, that really pissed me off. The next DNF was Dragon Queens. And I really wanted to like this book. It's a sapphic fantasy romance. I wanted to love this so much. It's been on my TBR for months. Unfortunately, the concept, the synopsis, and the tropes were way better than the execution. This was very poorly executed. There was zero character development. It was just basically our heroines deciding to carry out some fake dating in order to attain a marriage of convenience and practicing touching each other repeatedly. And they would do that, and then they'd be like, dot, dot, dot. And then it'd be like, later that day, let's practice kissing, dot, dot, dot. Later that day, let's practice holding hands. And that was like basically the first 50 pages or something. I don't even remember when I DNF'd it, like probably 50 pages in or something. But it was just, yeah, there was zero character development. I knew nothing about them other than one was a bounty hunter and one was a princess. And apparently the author didn't think we needed to know anything about them. So it felt like, but it was also really tame too. So it's not like she was writing smut. It was very clearly her first book. And I think that maybe she should have practiced writing a few books first and then put something out. I'm gonna read, probably if she ever publishes anything again, I'll read it in hopes, I'm assuming her writing will improve. But this was just not it. Okay, next I read a much better book after 2 fails in a row. Not really fails, but like Scepter wasn't like amazing. And that was Sven the Collector by Denali Day. This is a novella and it is inspired by Norse mythology. It's super fantastical. And there are these wyvern riders. And this was just so good. This was so good. I gave it 4.5 stars. I absolutely loved it. There's at least 4 books in the series. This is the only one that's a novella. The rest are full-length novels. And I am very much looking forward to continuing on in the series. I really liked it. Definitely recommend. Next, a really awesome book that I read was That Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf. This is the 2nd book in this series by Kimberly Lemming. It's now been picked up by publishers, but I still had the audiobook on my script. So I was able to listen to it and I adored it. 5 stars. Absolutely adored it. I can't wait to read the 3rd book, which is not, I don't know how to get to it. I think I have to just wait for it to be released now. I don't know if the ebook, I'm wondering if you can buy the ebook while we're waiting for the new physical copies to come out. I'm not sure, but they're definitely not on KU anymore. The novella is, like the wintertime novella is, and I do want to read that. So anyway, 5 stars, adored it. And today, while I was trying to reset my kids' playroom, I listened to Bright Gacy's, and I just did this because I heard some friends talking about it. I can't remember who was it. I don't know if it was April or Maggie. I can't remember. Someone was talking about it. I can't remember who it's by, but it was just funny. I guess I'm giving it like 3 stars. I don't even know if I'm going to rate it, but I guess if I could, I would give it 3 stars. It was really cute, really sweet, very much found family, a sweet romance, and it was also really hilarious. Like the songs and everything were funny. The idioms, like people's names, like Captain Swallow, and like they flew a big rainbow flag. It was just really funny and cute and just ridiculous. It was definitely over the top and ridiculous and just a fun time. So that is it. That's everything I've read so far for the readathon. I have big plans still. I've been reading Ship of Destiny most of the month, and I'm still not finished with it. I'm halfway through, still enjoying it. I'm also reading Ship of Bones and Teeth by Karina Halley. I was really excited to pick this one up. I don't know how fast I'm going to read it because I'm reading it physically, and right now I've been doing so much audiobooks. I've been really getting into my crochet, so it's been leading to a lot of audiobook time. So I don't know, but I'm reading it physically. That's how we're doing it, and I am only like a chapter or 2 in, but I'm liking it so far. I'm liking the mood. It's feeling very dark, that's for sure. And I know April really enjoyed this book too, and she's been shouting it out from the rooftops, trying to get everyone to read this book. And I hear you, April. I'm reading it, and I'm really excited to get into it. So sorry that was quick and I couldn't go into detail for those. It's just when you read that many books, like I don't want to be sitting here talking forever because I just don't have the ability to do that. But I've really been enjoying romance. So let's get into what I think I might pick up next. One book I think is Destiny's Captive by Beverly Jenkins. I'm very interested to pick that one up. It is the third book in that series, but I don't think you have to read them in order. I don't know. I hope not. A lot of historical romances you don't. Let me know if maybe I shouldn't. I know there is like a secondary overarching love like plotline for like a side character that does get resolved in the third book, but I'm not really worried about that. I'm in it for the main plot and the main romance. And I want to read a pirate romance, but I've never tried Beverly Jenkins before, so I really would like to read that one. I've also heard that whole series is really good. I don't know, maybe I should binge it. Let me know. If any of you guys know, if you've read it, let me know what you think I should do. Besides that, I'm really in a fantasy romance mood. Basically, historical romance and fantasy romance are where my mood is bringing me. That's all I've been wanting to read lately. It's been a wonderful month so far. I've really been enjoying Once Upon a Readathon, so thank you so much to everyone who is participating. Especially thank you so much to the co-hosts who have been putting so much work into the Readathon. I really appreciate it. So I hope you enjoyed this video, even though I guess I couldn't go into big detail about everything because my reading has been so, because I've been reading so much, but I still hope you enjoyed. And if you like this video, go ahead and click the like button. And if you want to comment down below but don't know what to comment, how about we use the wave emoji or the ocean emoji or something ocean-esque. And if you haven't already subscribed, I would love to see you do so. All of my social media is linked down below in the description, including my Goodreads, Instagram, and Twitter. Until next time, fellow readers, keep reading and living your best life.
Never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away.